Hello everyone, it's VGTI, and today I want to talk to you guys about Portal. I have a specific theory that I've told you guys I was going to cover in the past, and now with my Let's Play and Analyze of Portal ending here soon, with just, I think, one part left, I thought this would be the perfect time to go over a specific theory about Portal. Now, there's a few things that I could talk about with the Portal series as far as theories go, some of which have already been pretty extensively covered. And this one, the one that I'm going to talk about today, kind of has been extensively covered as well, but I just want to kind of go over it with you guys, recap some things, and really break it down into what could be going on, as well as mention something some of you might not know about. Today, we're going to be talking about Doug Rattmann. Now, I know, shocker, that is one of the most popular and most debated subjects of the Portal series, is Doug Rattmann. Everything about him, well, originally everything about him was a mystery, but we got a lot more info about him after Portal 2 came out because there was a companion comic that went along with it called Portal 2 Lab Rat, and it revealed a lot about Rattmann's history, what he looks like, and just everything that he went throughout the events before Portal, everything during Portal, and the beginning of Portal 2. It covers all of that and what he was up to. So a lot of that prior mystery is gone now. And I'm going to be referencing that comic a lot. So if you guys haven't read it, you should go read it just to kind of get all of the details straight in your head, but I will be covering some of it here. Today I want to talk about Rattmann, and a lot of you guys have asked me to talk about whether he is alive or whether he is dead, because we just don't know. We don't know for sure. It doesn't say in the Portal games, it doesn't reveal if he's alive or dead, and the Portal 2 Lab Rat comic also leaves this at a kind of mysterious cliffhanger in a way. In the comic, near the end of it, it kind of takes place just before the events of Portal 2. It's after the end of Portal 1. Chell defeats GLaDOS. They're on the surface in the wreckage, passed out, and Rattmann escapes thanks to the big hole that's now been created in Aperture Science to the surface. And he was going to leave. He was going to go out to the world, which is probably now taken over by the Combine. But he noticed that Chell was being dragged back into the facility by the party escort bot that you hear at the end of Portal 1. After seeing this happen, Rattmann goes back into the facility to save her, and he sees that the party escort bot put Chell inside a relaxation center. But the problem is that all of the relaxation centers have now gone offline because of GLaDOS, so they're pretty much useless at this point, and Chell could die in an endless slumber inside the relaxation center. So he tries to find a way to save her, but ends up getting shot by a turret, and when he comes to, he hears the companion cube talking to him again. The cube tells him how to save Chell's life by patching her center into the reserve grid, and this will put her in an endless sleep until somebody opens the relaxation center in the future, which ends up being Wheatley. Now, since Rattmann's satisfied that he has pretty much saved Chell's life, at least for now, he goes to his own relaxation center and falls asleep. And that's where it stops. We don't know if he died from bleeding out, or if he woke back up again at all, if he's still in there in an endless sleep, if he patched his wound. We don't know what happened to him. So the question remains, is Rattmann alive or is he dead during the events of Portal 2 when Chell wakes up and she goes through that whole game's story? Is he alive during this or is he dead? What happened to Rattmann? Now, there's some hints in the game towards Rattmann's state, I guess you could say. I'm just going to say it right here whether I think he's alive or dead. I believe Doug Rattmann is alive during the events of Portal 2. However, I don't think he made it out of the facility by the end of the game. You can find Rattmann's dens throughout Portal 2. There's quite a few of them, and some of them have very mysterious things in them. Some of them have murals and some of his sayings. Some of them have radios. Some of them even suspiciously look like they've been used recently. And some of these areas are new facilities or new areas inside the enrichment center that GLaDOS or Wheatley just built up. So it makes you wonder how recently he's been in there. Because you have to remember, Shell has been in a sleep for a very long time. Maybe not even a very long time. It's never specified how long she was asleep before the start of the game. So it might not have been a super long time. It's long enough for Rattmann to still be alive, at least. And you guys probably know what my primary point of evidence towards him being alive will be. It's a very famous secret that's not really much of a secret anymore that was found in Portal 2 in a certain Rattmann's den. If you stand close to one of the murals in the room, you hear a voice. And it sounds like a very disturbed, psychotic voice, which would make sense since, as we know, Rattmann is mentally insane. He has schizophrenia, and he ran out of medicine a long time ago. So, you hear a voice beyond the wall in that test chamber, and you guys can go check it out for yourselves if you want, if you have Portal 2. The specific test chamber that I'm talking about is in Chapter 3 of that game, Test Chamber 17. There's a secret panel that you can go up to in that area, and it leads to a Rattmann's den. And there's a big mural in that den where if you stand next to the mural, you can hear the voice. Now, I believe you can hear this voice next to some of the other Rattmann murals in the game. Please clarify me on this if that's correct or not, because I'm only slightly sure that that's correct. But this is the one that I know about, and this is the first one that people found originally, so that's the one I'm pinpointing here. If you go to that Rattmann's den and stand next to the mural, you can hear this voice that I'm talking about. And it sounds very garbled, because it's speaking very fast, and it sounds very distorted, but this voice is the voice of Rattmann. Now, some of you might say that this doesn't count as evidence, because what was found out was that that voice is actually a part of the official Portal 2 soundtrack. It appears in specific areas that have to do with Rattmann, and the song is called Ghost of Rattmann, and that whole voice clip is in the song. So some are saying that, oh, it's just a part of the soundtrack, that's all, so it's not actually his voice that you're hearing, but rather it's part of the soundtrack. However, I don't believe this is the case, because if that were the case, then if you were just standing in the middle of the room and not standing next to one of the Rattmann murals, you would still hear his voice, because it's a part of the main soundtrack. But that's not what happens in the game. You hear that voice when you're standing next to specific murals only. You don't hear it if you're away from them, because it's his voice that you're hearing. It's in the facility, beyond the wall that you're standing next to. Yes, it's a part of the soundtrack too, but that's just because it happens in those locations where that song plays. But in the actual game, you can only hear the voice if you stand next to the murals. That's where you hear it audibly. So I'm going to play the voice clip for you guys just to see what you guys think of it. It's about 51 seconds long. Give it a listen. So that is what you hear beyond the certain walls in Portal 2. Sorry about the quality, that was the best I could get, but if you want to hear it in better quality, search it up on a YouTube video and you should be able to find it. But that's what it sounds like. And players have tried to decipher what he's actually saying. Before I move on though, that soundtrack that voice clip is a part of, that song in the Portal 2 soundtrack is called Ghost of Rattmann, which seems to imply that he's dead, and what you're hearing is his ghost roaming the Aperture Science facility. However, I think it's just a part of the song's name to kind of stir the waters a little for people like me who are theorizing about this, because it's still not confirmed if he's alive or dead. And with how ghostly the voice sounds, it makes sense that they would call the song Ghost of Rattmann, but I don't think it's literally saying that he's dead. Now, various players and people on the internet have tried to decipher what exactly he's saying in this song and voice clip, and they have a lot of different theories as to what he might be saying. There's some that make a lot of sense, and since there are so many, I'm not actually going to read off any transcripts in this video or provide my own interpretations on what he's saying, but you guys can look it up if you want to, as it's very interesting stuff. There's one last point I want to cover, and it doesn't have as much to do with the fact that he may be alive or he may be dead, but it actually goes on to a different theory of mine that I have. When I was doing my Let's Play and Analyze of Portal 1, I noticed a specific bit of graffiti that you can find in one of Rattmann's dens in the game, and the graffiti says this: "Though Earth and man are gone, I thought the cube would last forever. I was wrong." When I read this graffiti, it made me think that maybe Doug Rattmann has some sort of knowledge of what's going on the surface of the Earth. He knows something about what happened with the Combine, hence why he said, "Though Earth and man are gone." It's a very key sentence there, and it made me think that he knows more than he's letting on, or at least more than we know that he knows. However, I thought about it more, and I realized that Doug Rattmann has not been to the surface since GLaDOS shut the facility down. Now keep in mind, this graffiti is in Portal 1, so we have to take that event in relation with what happened in Portal 2 Lab Rat. Doug Rattmann has not been to the surface since GLaDOS locked the facility down, so he has not been outside to see what's going on with the Combine, if that game does indeed take place around the time that the Combine have invaded Earth. So how would he know about this? Well, there's one way that I realized. GLaDOS has probably told him what's going on the surface, and she probably taunted him with it. Once he learned of these facts, he started hearing words from the companion cube as well, based on his own imaginings and assumptions about what's going on the surface, and that is where this graffiti stems from. There's also the possibility that "Though Earth and man are gone" literally just refers to the fact that he's stuck inside the facility and there's nobody around. That could be what he means by "though Earth and man are gone," but I do like the idea that GLaDOS has knowledge of what's going on the surface and she taunted him with this knowledge. Not as exciting of an ending to that theory as it was before, but, that's just what makes the most sense to me. So I'm going to end it off here, guys, but that's what I think about Rattmann, what he's up to, his whereabouts, and why I think he's still alive, just as GLaDOS is still alive. I don't think he made it out of the facility at the end of Portal 2, like I said, but you guys can talk more about that in the comments if you want, as well as everything else I covered in this video. Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments, give me your own theories, recommend theories to me that you want to see me talk about, and that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video and you like video game theories, then please subscribe to my channel for even more of that. And if you like the video, go ahead and please leave a like. That's it for now, guys, but I'll see you all in the next video.